Warning. This podcast features the truth about owning and operating mobile home parks. The following program is not designed to be sexy. It will not hype you up on MHPs. Rather, this is a raw take on this industry and how you find your own path to success. Welcome to MHP IRL, Mobile Home Parks in Real Life, with your host, Ryan Norris.
In this day and age, it is seemingly impossible to find good deals. It just is. Prices are through the roof. Rents are through the roof. Interest is through the roof. Some of my close contacts that are really, really big players in the macro real estate world tell me that all the people in the United States of America that are in the inner circles with all the money, they're all talking about two asset classes: industrial and manufactured housing. The word is beyond out of the bag. All the smart people are involved. Literally billions of dollars per quarter are being traded now as of the last trailing couple quarters. It's been really, really hard to find deals. You don't need me to tell you that, listeners. But I have now brought on someone who's found a way to buy 10 mobile home parks in 12 months. Let me repeat that because it bears repeating. 10 mobile home parks in 12 months. But here's where it gets really cool. They're all in the same city. Everybody, I want you to meet my friend, my former mentee, and now my business partner, Beau Wiltshire. Beau is an active military, about to be veteran, which is great.
Yeah.
About to be retired, and reached out to me. We've known each other for a couple of years now, and reached out to me and said, teach me everything. And I said, why don't you do my mentorship program? He did it. And he was easily one of my best students and applied what I've learned over the years and just ripped it. We have a lot of really, really interesting things to talk about. So Beau, in about a year and a half. So Beau, you said you got started in April of 2020. Beau has bought 11 mobile home parks all in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, spanning a little bit over 300 lots. Beau, welcome.
What's up, man?
I'm pumped to have you, dude.
I know. I've been talking to you and listening to this stuff for 2 years, and here I am. Yeah, finally.
Welcome, man. So tell us all your secrets.
All the secrets. Hey, rule number one, find good mentors. Avoid a lot of mistakes that way. Pay the money, get a mentor, and go for it. So Beau Wiltshire, active duty military, coming up on, I just went over 20 years, finished up my retirement here in the next few months, transitioning directly into full-time real estate because I had a plan and I got some focus and I got some good mentorship, ironed out my rough spots in this industry. So yeah, man, excited to be here.
It's interesting too, because I'm not your only mentor. Nope. And I'm not overly public about this, but I have mentors. I pay coaches as well. I think that, not to go on an aside here, but there are just bits of knowledge that will never make a podcast, that you may never run into until you run into it, and then you don't know where to go and find the answer. And to have a coach, paid or not, to have a network of people you can call on makes all the difference in the world. And we're going to spend some time talking about that today, Beau, because turns out these last 12 months, they have not exactly been that easy for you. Oh. So let's jump into this and let's talk about the sexy stuff first. So 10 acquisitions for the Fortify Capital Fund in 10 months, all in Fayetteville. How?
A lot of focus. So I listen to all the podcasts, and you listen to the Frank and Daves of the world, and they tell you, hey, you just don't get out of your backyard, go find your 10 cap, 50 plus lots, all tenant owned homes, and, just start collecting checks, and it's going to be fantastic. You're going to love it. And it doesn't work out that way. That is not reality, not even close. So, if you can ignore the whole 10 cap thing, even going and finding a 50 space park anywhere that is, all tenant owned homes, runs like a top and doesn't need a whole lot, it's probably already been bought by somebody, or they're not wanting to sell it because why would they? Yeah. So I learned some hard lessons. I I didn't join the mentorship program until after I had bought my first park and figured out, wow, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And yeah, I decided, hey, stop, looking for other people's piece of the pie. My 3 feet from gold is in my backyard. Let's get really, really focused on one area that we know really, really well. And let's start making relationships. So the Fayetteville area is blessed with 400 mobile home parks in its MSA. And, it's my goal to go meet all of the owners. And you don't need them all to sell to you. You just need a really small fraction of them who are ready. So hyper focus.
What would you say to folks that say, I'll look at any good deal?
Think you better have deep pockets because it's going to take you a lot of places. And what's a good deal may only be a good deal if you have the infrastructure in place and the systems in place to make it a good deal. So you can buy right and it covers up for a lot of sins, but finding staff and finding processes and finding people to work. Like if you don't have those relationships and you're in my market and we're both looking for rehab guys, I know a lot of people in Fayetteville. So if you're competing with me, like I'm going to go meet this guy and I'm going to go meet him for weeks. And we're going to sit down and talk about how all the homes I have in this area, and I can keep you employed for months to come. Anytime your schedule's empty, I got a thing for you to do, and you're not going to be able to compete with me on that. So you can go look for good deals anywhere. It is just really tough to compete with people that are really focused on an area.
I agree with you. And I think that's why I've had a lot of success, because I have a handful of markets, and it's very rare something will trade in one of my markets that I won't at least have a chance to make an offer on. Not saying I'm going to win them all, not even saying I'm going to win a majority of them, but I'm going to win some of them. And flash forward, Charlotte, North Carolina is my hometown. I've bought 10 in the MSA, which 7 years ago when I started, I would have said that's unbelievable. There's no way I'm going to do it. I actually just offered today on another one for something like a 4 cap. My hometown.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Also something when I started 7 years ago, I thought would have been unbelievable. When I started, I thought an 8 cap was paying too much. And now I'm like, yeah, 4 sounds good. Yeah. Let's talk for a second about these last 12 months for you. How has it? So obviously you've heard the pitch. That's what got you excited, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to fix any of the toilets or roofs or any of that. You collect checks. You own the dirt. Why has that not been true at all for you? And what are some really big headaches you think folks really ought to consider if they're considering but haven't bought a mobile home park yet?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of foreshadowing because you've listened to a lot of my really angry phone calls and really frustrated calls.
We had a few before we hit record.
Yeah, woo, man, let's not talk about accounting. Yeah, so it just doesn't work out that way where, if everybody else is looking for it, you got to find your niche. And it just, what you think, what you project, and how things are going to happen. I'm going to fall into a system that's already in place. I got a really great community manager. I'm going to take over with this property. She's going to be perfect. It doesn't work out that way. Other people have decisions. Other people get a vote in the matter. In the military, we say, hey, the enemy gets a vote. Well, sometimes your employees get a vote too, and they decide to go do other stuff. So the systems that you think are going to be there may not necessarily be there. So you got to scramble and get stuff done. You got to look at homes. You got to look at maybe some sellers who they weren't dishonest, but they weren't overly forthcoming about things. And you really got to dig. So in the last 12 months, it's been a hustle digging out our, due diligence processes and getting all of our inspections done and trying to do all that while you're also building out a team to take over these parks. I mean, it has been growth on all fronts and a lot of challenges.
A lot of unexpected things that you ran into. For example, a bank pretty much at the last second telling you, hey, remember how we were going to loan you this amount? Well, we may not even do half of that.
Yeah.
How has that, number one, felt? And how have you resolved issues like that?
Yeah. So banks have been my biggest source of pain. So that deal you're talking about is the most recent one where, hey, we purchased the park. Everything's good. We paid all cash for it. It's good. We got it ironed out. We turn it over and they're like, ooh, because of blah, 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 we're only going to give you half of that. What do you mean you're only going to give me half of that? Like, why? And they've got their reasons. They've got underwriting teams that it's bureaucracy at any level. And then, a few months before that, we ended up buying another park. They didn't tell us they didn't want to back out until a week before closing. So, I mean, they will put you in a pickle real quick. So you got to have some contingency plans in place. Luckily, I had one in place, and I put it into effect, and we were able to still close that property and get things rolling. But yeah, it's that's just the stuff you never really think. You just think, hey, I'm just going to go get debt and I'm going to close it. And it doesn't work out that way. Banks, especially with everything going on now, banks are extremely risk averse to a lot of things. And one little fly in the ointment will take something in a whole new direction. Luckily, we've got some relationships we can lean on, and you were able to come in and get some things going. Yeah. Again, network, mentors, having people that know more than you and have better relationships than you do, candidly, because they've got more time in the industry. It's fairly common in the multifamily space. You have very senior people that go in and do stuff, and they partner with a bunch of other doers. They were trying to get into the space, and mobile home parks haven't necessarily caught up to that as widely as the multifamily space. But I think there's a lot of value in it, and I definitely wouldn't have been where I'm at without having a network that you helped me build out and you're a part of. So
I was sitting down with a doctor recently who was unbelievably intelligent. He's a guy who has multiple kids, great business, and he was just like, I was bored. So I became a wine connoisseur. There's some fancy name that I'm not into wine, so I will butcher if I try to. So that.
Yeah.
I guess becoming that is a huge deal, and you have to take a big test, and this guy's fabulously intelligent, and they just did it in his spare time. And he was asking me about my wife and I and what we did. I was telling him about the mobile home park space, and he said, man, if I had to do it all again, I would do that because I love mathematics and finance and yada, yada, yada. And I felt a little bad because I could tell this guy maybe wasn't exactly happy with having chosen to go into the field he did. So I told him something that I think you'll resonate with, Beau, as will our listeners. I said, look, I got my master's in business. I feel like I know a lot about business. I feel like now that I am a business owner, the majority of my time, call it over 50% of my time, is dealing with stupid decisions by not necessarily stupid people, just stupid decisions by really smart people who just have, for whatever reason, they have just things that are getting in their way that don't make common sense. It just will blow your mind how little common sense is applied across the board, how many things break, how many people say they're going to do one thing and then do another. And I feel like, or don't do anything at all, right? Like don't even show up or don't call you back. And then they're surprised when they're fired, right? Or they, decide to build a beaver dam in front of one of your mobile home parks because they think they own the road and you don't have an easement. And then they're shocked when you sue them. And then they're shocked when their attorney says, well, you're going to lose because you don't own the dirt. Right? Like the amount of stupid is mind-boggling, and it will slow you down. And I told this doctor that, and he, in the moment, kind of felt a little bit better, but it's true. That's the number one thing that business school did not teach me, how much I was going to be dealing with stupid. Beau, wonderful transition. Name a few things that have been just stupid that you've had to deal with.
I mean, aside from two banks throwing me curveballs at the last minute, having bookkeepers that we bring on that are, hey, we're reconciled, but I don't know where this other few $1,000 is. Like, no, we're not reconciled. Like, let's go back and figure out like where we're misplacing some things here. Right. Yeah, that's why we hired you. Like, go find this stuff. City people that come in and are like, hey, I know you don't own this home, but I need you to do blah 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 with it. Well, I can't do that. I don't even own it. Like, what do you want me to do with that? A lot of just different zoning things was crazy zoning questions where we've got two properties right next to each other. They are both mobile home parks. They are now one community, and one street is commercial and one street is residential, and they are billed completely separately. Okay, well, I mean, it's your utility company, however you want to run it. So yeah, I mean, just one thing after employees that, decide to fall asleep for 3 days and wake up and just didn't answer the phone. Hey, sorry, I didn't think you needed me. You've been asleep for 3 days. Okay, well, I don't know what to do with that. So yeah, it's been really interesting. Things that, again, I'm in the Army and I've seen some wild stuff, and I've seen people who get to the Army and don't want to be in the Army and, back out of it. And you deal with stuff like that, but I don't know. You can't treat people the way in the civilian world that you do in the Army. I can be very direct in the Army and very, this is what's going to happen right now. You can't do that. There is none of that. So the whole leadership aspect really gets tested. To anybody that thinks you're a leader, go hire somebody. And then you'll find out if you're really a good leader at that point, to voluntarily keep them moving along. So yeah.
It's been a mess, but the good news for you is you've been very profitable along the way. And Beau, I think that's because you and the missus and your team basically work 8 to 8, and you homeschool 3 kids.
Yeah, we do.
Anything but passive. And that's 300 lots. I remember having a really tough conversation with you where I was like, my portfolio is a multiple of yours, and I'm not 8 to 8.
Yep.
We have to fix this. And my interpretation of it, Beau, is that you just didn't have the right people in the right places. Maybe not necessarily you had the wrong people, but they needed certain limitations, or they needed to be over here. They do better over here than over there, or they're doing too much, or they need different marching orders. And you have to figure all of that stuff out. Now, the advantage that you have is you're all in Fayetteville. I mean, you can hit every one of our properties in Fayetteville within an hour, every single one of them. Can you imagine owning 10 parks in 10 states?
Yeah. I already don't have hair, but I can't imagine pulling it out if some of the stuff we've had go on at a property where I can drive to it in 15 minutes was happening 4 hours away. You can drive in. Hey, just don't buy anything you wouldn't drive to. And you can do that. Just know that when it hits the fan, like, it's an anxious 5-hour drive to get there and find out what's going on. That I don't know. If you do that, just do not let it be your first park. There's going to be things that surprise you. There's going to be things that come off the wall. If it's your first park, that's a terrible, terrible, terrible way to learn. So definitely keep that in mind as you're out looking and scouring the countryside, looking for the next big deal and the unicorn that everybody wants. And I think that's, I know we had hit on it earlier, with the macro side of things, is what used to be a good deal. That 4 cap now is still a good deal. I mean, the country heading the direction it is I can buy a 4 cap and find a little bit of upside, and it still makes a lot of money because you can get debt now that supports that. Where, 5 years ago, like, you getting a 2% rate on a 30-year, non-recourse note, like, was unheard of. You just aren't going to get that. And now that stuff's out there with the right relationships. So looking at things that way, man, I think there's no reason to put yourself in a worse position, because this is not a passive business. If you are operating mobile home parks, it's not for the faint of heart. You're going to see some wild stuff, possums in houses, crazy people running around. Like, they are in these parks if you're buying them to fix them up. So you're going to have to be ready for that. And doing it from hours away it'd be a challenge. It'd be a challenge I'd probably enjoy, but I keep all my challenges close right now.
Well, I think that's why you and I have a good friendship and a good bonding experience over mobile home parks, is because we've both fallen in love with the grind. And we both have dealt with potential business partners who clearly don't at least show signs on the surface level of loving the grind. And to kind of expand upon that a little bit, there's a great book by Mark Manson called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And what he says is, no matter what,
you told me I couldn't see. Now you're just trying to get me to swear.
I said
made
F.
me promise not to swear. You're goaded me into it. I feel it.
We're dancing along a fine line. He says in the book, no matter what lot in life you choose, there's going to be a pile of crap you're going to have to deal with. You have to find what lot in life comes with a pile of crap that you're okay dealing with. And that's what I feel like you and I have bonded over so much, is for whatever reason, we love the grind of mobile home parks. There is something about serving our community, our very vulnerable, very, in some cases, very needy folks. Like, these folks really need someone who truly cares about them, who's going to reinvest in these communities, going to charge a fair rent. Preface that word, cheap doesn't mean good, right? Going to charge a fair rent.
Yep.
But we're going to get out riffraff. We're going to get out people who are shooting guns in the middle of the night and running around the streets naked, which happens. And just the crazy stuff to give good working people a chance, a chance, because in Fayetteville and Charlotte and all the markets you and I are in, it is like impossible to rent anything for under $1,000. You mean to tell me that you can own the home, have a yard? The home is yours. You can have a child grow up in a neighborhood that's safe and clean, and it is a bona fide home and is a bona fide asset for someone to own, and not pay but a fraction of $1,000 a month. It is absolutely why I get up every morning and why I'm excited to work with you, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And again, that kind of rolls into, we call everything Thrive Communities, where, that's the branding we're putting on it. Can we pass the school bus test? If your kid gets off the bus in front of this park, is he going to get made fun of, or is he proud to live there? Can he go outside and play? One of the parks he's talking about earlier is, the week after we closed on it, there was a murder in the park. It's 28 pads and there's already a murder. And I mean, we buy some rough stuff. But we turn it around, because out of that 28 pads, there's probably 20 residents in there that don't have a lot of options, that just need somebody to give them a chance to get a step back on life and not get run over by everything that's going on around them. I mean, they were living in this place before for a reason. So to be able to come in, use, systems, processes, force of personality, and, myself, Chuck, my partner that's on the ground with us, like, we're not meek people. We'll get out there and mix it up. And I've, wandered into block parties at 1 a.m. and, hey, what's going on, fellas? Like, what are we doing? Like, it's quiet hours, and people are shocked. And I don't know if it's because they think I'm a cop or what's going on, but you just go meet people and you start, and the other residents see that, and they see, like, all right, hey, this guy showed up, the party shut down, and my kids can sleep and go to school the next morning. And just little stuff like that is fantastic. We've got, community managers that didn't have a lot of options coming back in, getting out of bartending gigs, and are just killing it, just rock stars for us right now, and now she can spend her evenings with her child when they get home from school. So little things like that, where you can have an impact on your employees, you can have an impact on residents. Obviously you make a lot of money for your investors. That's what it's all about. And yeah, for us, like, I don't know, Sisyphus pushing my rock. Like, I like the grind. Like, I'm going to push it all the way to the top. It's going to roll back down. I'm going to push it back up. Like, that's what it takes, to be successful, is you just got to keep pushing, and you got to enjoy the push. So
to take a little bit of a pivot here, you said something that caught my attention, which is that this is a people business. And you're right. The difference between a good property manager and one that'll struggle with something like violations is just being present, just knocking on the doors, having conversations, showing people that, hey, I'm not picking on you. I'm serious. You're going to clean up this yard. You're going to turn off the music. And it goes beyond that, sitting down with code enforcement people, sitting down with other mobile home park owners. It is a people business. And I know that people listening in, Beau, have this question for you, which I'd like you to address, which is, it sounds like it was a bit of a cluster for a while for you because you were buying heavy value add stuff. What if I just bought all tenant owned home, direct build, stable stuff? What would you say to that?
I mean, that's possible. Institutional people do it, but they hire people out to take over that. It's still going to come with its own problems. And it's probably not going to be cash flow positive for a while. It's going to be break even. I mean, people that have assets like that, they hold on to them. If you're going to buy it, you got to have a different capital stack than I have right now. So it's out there. It's just probably not what the people listening to this podcast are looking for. You're looking for something with some meat on the bone, and that meat comes at a price. It may be your meat. Your meat's on the bone. And that's what it's going to take, some of that to get it done. So be ready to go out and mix it up and meet people. Meet the people in your parks. Let them see you. Meet your residents. Meet other owners in the area. They're going to tell you things that are going to be invaluable, things that would take you years to figure out about an area, or just, kind of what's going on the ground. And yeah, try it out.
So at the end of the day, it's still a people business, no matter
Absolutely.
which way you cut it. My most stable property that's been stable from the day I bought it it's still work. I still have stupid lawsuits that come up that we end up winning because they're ultimately frivolous. And that's a big part of it. You have employee issues. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to this. You are buying a business. You're not going to, there is no hidden jewel in real estate. It may have existed 15, 20 years ago. It's not that way anymore. And even 15, 20 years ago, you're buying a business. Even if everybody pays and code enforcement stays away, if you are not on it or don't have someone who is on it, people are going to throw tires in their front yard. They're going to trash stuff. You have to constantly have eyes on your assets, good or bad. You and I have looked at deals together where someone will buy it and go, sweet, passive income, then not check in on it for 3 years. Then all of a sudden, boom, it's basically a fire sale situation. And the flip of that is the ones that are stable are going to command $1 bajillion. I just offered one in my backyard today, a couple hours ago, $60,000 an occupied unit. It comes out to like a 4 cap. And it's not even.
When I got into this, I thought this was the exit price. Like, I'm exiting. If I hit 60K a pad, like I'm done.
Yeah.
We'll
be just super wealthy. And the thing is, I spoke with another owner yesterday, and the more sophisticated people that are air quotes mom and pops, he was just like, why would I ever sell this? I can never buy something like this again. I'm going to literally refi till I die. And that is a national trend, by the way. There was a big article in Forbes about how these super wealthy people basically are refinancing their assets, their cash flowing real estate assets and businesses, because it's tax-free money that comes out and they can live off that, and they still have the cash flow of their business. And then when they pass away, assuming it's in a trust or they've done their taxes properly, what ends up happening is their kids get it at a stepped up basis. So in other words, it just makes sense to always own it. So in other words, my answer to that same question, Beau, is quite simply like, yeah, you might find something stable out there. It's still going to be a business. You're still going to need to have good quality people. You're still going to be running a business. The other ones are likely not available because people are going to refi till they die, or they're going to sell at an astronomical number, which will basically force you to jack rents so high you'll make the news, which is happening an alarmingly high amount in our space right now. And at the end of the day, you need to stop making excuses, roll up your sleeves, and do what Beau is doing, which is you pick a market, you go gung-ho to it, you meet everybody. One of my favorite stories you've told me, by the way, is how you met a local official. I think you said it was like a code violation person. She was like, hey, honey, you want to know some mobile home parks that might be for sale? I got you.
Yep. Again, it's networking. So her being able to come in and see us, hey, we took over this park, all her problem children, we're buying them up. Yep. And she's like, I love you guys. You are saving me so much hassle. Like, let's go sit down and chit chat and see what you guys are doing. See how I can help you, because you're helping me a ton. And you're helping that whole community, that whole area. I mean, we've put a lot of money into it. And, the sheriff's department met me one night at like 1:00 in the morning as we were dealing with some issues in a park. That, like you, I decided to stay in for a few nights just to really get the lay of the land. Like, what is going on out here and why is it the Wild West? So you go find out. And, they told me like, hey, it's like all the problem children in this entire area live here. They live in your park. Oh, can you can you help me find them and get them out? And they were like, really? Yeah, really. So we cleaned house, we got them out, and, we went to like 50% occupancy, like within weeks. And that's a scary thing. And you come back in and you build it in, you get people. I mean, there is so much demand for people that are just, working and just need something affordable to get their kids in school and not have to worry about one more thing in life. They're out there. So go out there, meet the people in your neighborhood, talk to the code violation people, talk to the sheriff's department, talk to the police department, find out what you can do to help them. And it is amazing how much support you can get from just, sheriff's deputies. Like, hey, do you mind if we drive through a little more often? I would love for you to drive through a little more often. Drive through all you want. And we've got some vacant houses in here. I might just let you guys stay in one. You can park a car in front of it and rest, relax, whatever you want. So whatever it takes is out there, but you can only do that by, really digging into an area, really building relationships in an area. And yeah, you can buy 300 pads in a year going that way and just kind of piecing it together. So you don't have to be an institutional guy.
You don't. I love that. And your strategy has been buying smaller stuff, give or take. So your average lot count's about 30. And what I'll say is, not that you've necessarily experienced this, but you've definitely seen this, that a lot of these mom and pops that are owners, they don't reinvest much into these communities. They keep the rents low, which attracts potentially a really rough client base when they're not screening properly. And a lot of these mom and pops, they take cash right off the top. You want to pay them their lot rent, they'll take a cash, they won't report it. And they think they're getting
allegedly
one over on, right.
Allegedly they take cash.
I think they're getting one over. I mean, I remember literally 2 weeks ago, my wife and I were with a mom and pop owner, and they looked at us, they're like, you're going to show up yourselves and pick up cash, right? Right. And I was like, no, I'm going to report every penny I make. And I'm going to do it all touchless, meaning they're going to have to go to Walmart. They're going to have to pay online. We're going to reconcile every single penny. We're going to do things the right way. And they're like, you're going to show up here and pick up cash, aren't you? And eventually you're like, we might show up here and pick up cash. Like, can we please talk about something else? Right.
Fine.
And I think
you stop trying to get me to admit to a felony.
I think the funny thing about it is what we are doing, Beau, and what I hope my podcast, my mentorship program, my outreach, my everything to other people who want to own mobile home parks has this effect, which is, let's get good people into this space. Let's get them more involved. Let's usher in the new generation of mobile home parks where we report all of our taxes so the tax man can be happy, where we don't just slam someone in because they're waving cash in our face, right? So in other words, do it the right way, even if it means running in the red for a little bit. Clean up these communities so the governments can get off our backs, so they can help us. They can use legislation to help, not to hinder us. And yes, that means rents are going to be higher, but you're going to pay for something. Former Honda salesman here. I'm going to give the Honda sales pitch right now. You buy a Honda. Why? It holds its value. It's super reliable. It's cheap to maintain. You'll easily have 100, 200, maybe 300,000 miles on it, depending on how you treat it. And you're going to pay more than a budget car. You're going to pay more, but guess what you're going to get? You're going to get a fine product. And that's what we're hoping to do. Not come in and take rents to the moon and not do anything. Charge a fair market rate, but reinvest in these communities. Beau, as we wind down here, why don't we just take a couple minutes? I just want to give you the spotlight to take a couple minutes to talk about Thrive. And anyone listening in who's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize owning a mobile home park was owning a business. Turns out you can still get depreciation and great returns if you invest as an LP, which a limited partner is not a bad thing. I have plenty of limited partnerships myself. I love it. Beau, Mike is all yours.
Awesome. Yeah. So to avoid the whole sales pitchy thing, I'm not a Honda salesman. I'm just an Army guy transitioning into this industry pretty hard. It's a fantastic way to get into it. If you like what you do, if you have a lot of capital, if you have a little bit of capital, but you want to put it to work, partner with somebody, find somebody like us, Thrive Communities, and you go to thrivecommunity.fund and find out what our offerings are, what we've got coming down the pipe, what our acquisitions are looking like. And you find somebody like us that likes the grind, that wants to be in the mobile home park and partner with us. You're still a part of the deal. There's equity positions available. You own this thing just like you were buying it. You're just not that person that's out there having to figure out all these hard lessons that we've learned. So really want to put that out there. We're about to go hard into 2022 and shoot for 1,000 pads this year, growing pretty quick. So we are going to be looking for capital partners to help us do that. And, there's going to be some pretty phenomenal returns. There's going to be some pretty phenomenal tax advantages, as you alluded to, that are coming out there with it. So if you want to come out and meet us in Fayetteville, walk through some parks, learn some things, try before you buy kind of thing, we'll do that too. We do get excited about it. I love being in my parks. I love walking around, meeting residents and helping them end up in a safe, affordable place so they can thrive in life. And that's really what it's about for us. That's thrivecommunity.fund. Check us out. Come look me up on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And I'm out here.
Funny, I have been very averse to raising funds for the longest time. So on our first mentorship call, I remember we spent about an hour trying to talk you out of going big. And at the end of the call, I was like, wow, this guy is not budging on this. And true story, everyone listening in, Beau got a couple drinks in me, sat me down and said, I want you on the team. Yeah. And I said, you know what? Yes. So Beau has offered me a little bit of GP, very small piece. And I put up
worth every penny.
I put up my own limited partnership funds as well. So I'm on the GP and the LP side. And I'll tell you why I did this. And we had a conversation within the last couple of weeks where I said, Beau, I don't even know what my percentage is. You know why? Because it's not about the money. I'm here because I'm around people who love the grind. And that gets me excited. Like, I've driven our Fayetteville properties more than some of my own recently, even though I'm a sliver of it. And it all comes down to this. You want to back people. You want to park your money with people who love it. People who are literally like, I know it's on a piece of paper somewhere and an attorney checked it over and said, hey, okay, so I got my bases covered, but I got other stuff to focus on and I'll enjoy focusing on this. That's you, Beau. That's why I have so much confidence in you as a friend, as an operator, as now a business partner. But yeah, I wanted to let your story get out there, man. You are Mr. Fayetteville, and it is working. It is not without its bumps along the road, but you have turned me on to Fayetteville. And true story, I am now offering for Archimedes Group stuff in Fayetteville in a friendly way, because good comps, right?
Hey, good comps help. And, I've been in special operations for the last 15 years in the Army, and what we do better than anybody else is build teams. So while we were extremely excited, hey, Ryan trusts us enough to invest with us, like, that is awesome. What I want is what you got going in here, and I want your experience and I want that on the team. So again, if you're getting into this, partner with somebody that knows more than you, and that's like rocket fuel. If you haven't read some of those books, go figure it out. Find somebody that's done what you want to do. I want to be where Ryan's at in 5 years. That's where I want to be. So, hey, Ryan, come on into this. Bring some of your credibility, bring some of your experience, bring some of your relationships. You can go from 0 to 10 in a year, partnering with the right people. So the money doesn't just show up. The money shows up when you show you've got a plan and you've actually thought through things. That's when the money shows up. And we haven't had an issue with money. We've turned some investors away that weren't a good fit. The ones we have, we love them. And they are great, and they're great partners to us, and they help us grow, and we help them get income, and it works out for everybody. Our residents, or whether they know it or not, are eternally grateful for the people that have come in and been part of this team with us.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on, man. For the record, everybody listening in, as of this recording, Archimedes Group is still not raising funds, and I have no thanks. I'll let Beau handle that for what we have going on out there. But Beau, I'm going to drop your website in the show notes. Anything else you'd like to say while you're here?
No, just if you're interested in getting into this space and are not really sure what it's about, come invest with us. Come partner with us. See what's going on LinkedIn, Instagram. Ryan's got his podcast. Learn all you can. Reach out. I like to talk to people. I'll talk to a stump. So grab 15, 20 minutes of my time and let's chat.
Beau, thanks again for joining everyone. Take care.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan.
Entrepreneurs make mistakes, but with the overwhelming amount of free information out there, you don't have to be doomed to making those same mistakes. You just have to find a consolidated version of the most important information. What if I told you I'll gift you all of my DD mistakes I've made over the years for free? Just leave me a 5-star review, screenshot the review after it goes live, and email it to me at my website, archimedesgrp.com. Afterwards, join our Facebook group, Mobile Home Park Mastermind. You'll find hundreds of other mobile home park owners sharing ideas, contractors, and deals. It's free to join, and we would absolutely love having you join us.